No matter who wins the election in November, both Biden and Trump are big names in politics now, and their families will continue to cash in on that. But hey, they can't help who they're related to, right? Take Biden's son Hunter. If you don't live in a cave, you've likely heard that he once served on the board of a Ukrainian energy company while his dad was VP. Now, it's not exactly clear how much he pulled in there, but reports say somewhere around $50K a month or more. That point on his resume has caused his dad a never-ending headache, and he's both admitted that taking the position was probably a mistake and that he likely would have never gotten it if he wasn't a Biden.
There's a lot of things that would have happened in my life that if my last name wasn't Biden. Did I make a mistake? Well, maybe in the grand scheme of things, yeah.
But that's probably not the only business decision he regrets. There's also the time he flew to China with his then vice president father on Air Force Two. Which didn't raise any eyebrows at the time. Biden brought family on foreign trips all the time. But that's because back then, no one knew that Hunter was forming a Chinese private equity fund or that Hunter met with a Chinese banker who was his partner in the fund during the trip. Hunter's spokesperson says it was a social visit, but that scheme was approved by Shanghai authorities just days later. And while Hunter didn't see any money from that until after his dad was out of office, when he did, it was over $400,000. Hunter's business ties to China don't stop there, but we will. Let's move on to Joe's brother, James. There's plenty to say about him, but if we focus on one thing, back in 2011, while Joe was leading the Obama administration's Iraq policy, James was executive VP of a construction firm that landed a $1.5 billion contract to build houses in Iraq. The company denied that the vice president's position had anything to do with the deal, but what do you make of this deja vu?
Listen, his name helps him get in the door, but it doesn't help him get business. People who have important names tend to get in the door easier, but it doesn't mean success. If he had the name Obama, he would get in the door easier.
To be fair, those contracts did fall through, but it's things like that that makes Trump Jr. say things like this.
The Biden family is the most corrupt political family in American history.
I'm pretty sure that video is what pops up when looking for the meaning of the phrase, the pot calling the kettle black, because the Trump kids are doing just fine. Control of the Trump organization was handed to Don Jr. and his brother Eric by their father when he took office due to conflict of interest issues. But in 2017, promotional materials from Trump Tower Mumbai went out boasting a connection to, quote, U.S.-based real estate tycoon, celebrity, and POTUS Donald Trump. Oops. The office of the president can't be used for personal benefit, guys. So the ads, which are said to have been unapproved, were pulled. Ivanka Trump also put her fashion line into a temporary trust before taking a role in the White House, and yet reports of her company having trademarks fast-tracked keep cropping up. She rubs shoulders with Xi Jinping, and the same day, several new ones are approved. And speaking of her fashion lines, right after an appearance on 60 Minutes alongside her father after his election, Ivanka's jewelry company sent out a blast promoting a $10,000 bracelet from the line she was wearing during the interview. It was promised that things at the company were still being sorted out after the election, but it wasn't the first time Ivanka mixed politics and business. She previously used a speech at an RNC convention to hawk her clothing line. And there's also the fact that while Trump was in the midst of an election, his kids opened up a Trump International Hotel in D.C.
It's an honor to stand before you today and officially welcome you to Trump International Hotel and Tower, Washington, D.C.
And that has led several foreign dignitaries to come visit the president, paying his kids for their accommodations. Now, all this nepotism and what looks like selling access to powerful men runs a fine line when it comes to legality. But man, it's got to be great from their perspectives.